wish you a lot. I'm happy that you're here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
You are in the role of ambassador of your club, and Super Chess is like a first seed. Do you help them in mentoring or with some comments, ideas?
Yes, I just work with the club, and this time they just invited me to drop in, though I'm not playing. And it's a bit of that. Of course, I'm quite friendly with many of my teammates. We work together often and things like that, so there's always that angle. But no formal position really. Just the club said, well, why don't you drop in? And that's what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, but anyway, you come to Romania not so often, but still you come there, right?
Yes, very much. I have certain events that I visit every year. There's this big festival in Cluj, and I typically do one event with the federation. So a couple of things, and in that sense, I have a formal role with Supervet. But with the club itself, last 2 years I played, and this year I'm not playing.
So. Okay, so all best Indians player except you are basically around. First thing, Prague lost yesterday. How tough was for him to handle it?
I guess it was hard, but he took it, the professional way. What can you do? You put some cold water on your face and you continue. I think the problem for him was he played a sharp line, but his opponent entered it eagerly and played quite well. His opponent found a lot of difficult moves. And somehow, even if there was a chance to come back, you need a couple of mistakes to get a chance in, and he did not get this break yesterday. But it's tough. The problem is already in the opening. Once you have taken that pawn and gone into this sharp line, there's no way out. There are a couple of moments where I feel that Prague should have been thinking, how do I make a draw here? Not, how can I still win? And this was the mistake he made, that he kept trying for a win a little bit too long. And then suddenly, 2 moves later, there was no way back. I mean, if you look at the position with these two rooks and this pawn on c6,
and the knight,
Prague is never equal there. He is unpleasantly, the position's holding, but he is never really equal. And in fact, his opponent made many impressive sequences of moves and so on. So, okay, it happens sometimes.
When do you think that this wisdom of maybe striving towards the draw, it comes? For example, in your career, that, okay, you want to win, he's still fighting, he's catching, trying to catch Arjun and Gukesh in terms of rating and so on. So he desperately wants to win. When this wisdom comes? Because sometimes the loss is really tough.
I don't think the wisdom ever comes, because that suggests that wisdom points to the correct answer. I think it's a choice. If accepting you are not going to win, then the better option is the draw. Draw is better than loss. So you steer towards... So the question is, are you tending towards too much optimism or slightly on the pessimistic side? And now you can say that this game, my approach would have been wisdom, because I would have stopped in time. But maybe another game, I would stop also a bit earlier. Prague would persist and he would win. And then it balances out. So it's more a question of... But it's true that youngsters these days have too much optimism. It seems to me that their risks are unreasonable. I mean, you saw Arjun's game yesterday.
Yes,
I
just
he was
wanted...
just
yeah.
hopelessly lost.
Yes.
And then, even in the position where Wedberg resigned, I don't understand why he resigned. So it's a little bit... but this kind of thing you cannot hope for. But it happens sometimes, and it's a tough choice.
I think he missed that queen d7 is exchanging the queens at all. I think queen d5 he was calculating, then f3, and then he just stopped.
Yes.
I think queen d7 was missed, that he's exchanging the queens.
But for instance, why did Tom not play rook a8, and then do all this? And in fact, you don't even need to play queen d5. You can play queen takes g8 and try to queen these pawns. I mean, as a way to make a draw. So... But I know that Arjun takes this level of risk quite routinely and scores a lot of points. So now, should I criticize him or not? I don't know. His loss to Gurel in the Bundesliga was the same phenomenon. But yesterday was the same phenomenon. It worked for him. The other one didn't work. I think the problem for me is, if you have a very long career, over some time, you you overstep the mark a couple of times, then these bad memories stay in your head, and you're a little bit more cautious. Maybe it's just age.
Got it. Okay, what do you think? Are they exhausted in terms of game? Because Arjun was playing like so many tournaments. Gukesh, sometimes when you're playing, carrying your team on your shoulders as a first board, it's also super heavy. You also came from London, all those events. How they managed to do it? Where is the energy?
I don't know where the energy is coming from, but both of them are playing very, very combative chess. In fact, I would say very unsound sometimes. They play quite unsoundly, and because they are fighting to win every round. Now that's quite special. It's a very modern approach because some time ago you didn't take so much risk because you thought that mostly you would get into trouble. But these guys seem very confident that they can get away with it. Especially Arjun this year, if you saw his play in London and so on, almost every game he was doing something new on move 3 or 4. So that's quite a special approach. I think they should be tired, but they don't seem to be.
Prague is playing a little bit different type of chess than Arjun.
Prague is much more solid, and his chess is so-called correct more than more than Arjun, obviously. Gukesh is borderline. Actually, he comes close to playing correct chess, but he's still able to take some risk and put a little pressure. I think Arjun is extreme.
I know that you are careful in making predictions, but okay, World Championship match is coming. Gukesh is here. It's not easy. Do you think that this idea that he plays here just right before the World Championship match? How about you? Have you played, let's say, a few months before the World Championship match?
Not generally. I remember in 2007, I played in the Mainz Classic before Mexico. So that I had like a month of recovery time. And in 2008, I played in Bilbao right before the match because I thought it's nice to think. But again, I had like 2 to 3 weeks before the match started. And in those days, I felt that I would have a long training camps. And then if you don't play anything, then you're going to the match with basically not having played chess in 4 to 5 months, which is not a healthy scenario. I think Gukesh's decision to play here is not very difficult and it's quite correct. For him playing here will be a good chance to test everything. Also remember that nowadays we basically don't have phenomenal opening ideas. They're just looking for they're looking for something slightly unbalanced so you can even play. That's a different scenario from 2007 and 8 when we could still dream of advantages in the opening and so on.
Yeah.
So
I see how Bogdan is playing Deak actually. He's for the last year, I think that he's actually not searching for any advantage.
Yes.
Yeah, he's playing some, I don't know, stuff. Even sometimes A3 comes on the board and so on. Yeah.
What did he play against Aryan Tari last year? Was it
H3 at some stage
D3
or not?
or D3?
Yeah, D3 and then some. So this is like extreme approach. Okay, just before going towards the moves. So you're still, how would you say? Are you a mentor? Are you a trainer? Are you official? Are you a player? Or everything?
Bit of everything, I'm afraid. I basically keep on switching roles, and I mean that's got its own challenges, but it's also nice because you can move on from one to the next.
Yeah, just to remind our viewers that of course Vichy is FIDE deputy president. But okay, let's move to your territory where you are like the biggest expert, Vichy. How about this game? You know Indian chess really good. So is Gukesh happy with the opening outcome?
I think he should be. The position is tense. He's got all these pawn exchanges, so some decisions to make. But White's position is also reasonable.
It's funny sometimes, okay, why Black is basically playing like anti-Sicilian, close Sicilian, that this type of move, for example, from White, basically you could make it in a blitz in 1 or 2 minutes, right? All those moves.
Yes, but it's also very typical because in this English, you know that there will still be a middle game to play. But here's the problem. If I take on C4 with Black, white can take with the d pawn,
Yeah.
and then black cannot play e4, which is what he wants to do, because then I can go knight d4 and that can be unpleasant. So black will need to prepare the move, maybe support f5 with something, and then take, because then e4 is desirable.
So it will be a waiting game for a
Yes.
while.
White's one plan for white I see is knight to d1 and knight to f2, which is a natural square somehow. Which means that I don't want to play rook a d1 now. If I play rook a d1, I think b4 is strong, because the knight goes to a4, it's a bit trapped. It can come to b1, but then it's losing another few moves. So
And
what will white to play? I mean, will you?
yeah, he will. I think. Yeah,
H1?
I would probably apply king h1. Maybe sometimes they're even transferring the knight.
Yes.
g1 f3, but I don't know. Is this coming? Is this an option?
It's another idea.
Yeah.
Queen e8 h5, and I don't see how white is going to provoke a struggle in the center. Maybe the plan is just to play e4 at some point.
Yeah, that's also typical. They're playing this type of things. Yeah, rook e1.
But the problem with black has played b5, so if you play e4, then I can capture here, capture on e4, and you have to take with a piece.
Got it.
So I don't know. Again, that's the best part for Gukesh, that he gets a game, which is very interesting. So, but we'll see how.
I was discussing yesterday, mentioning that sometimes he's struggling in blitz, but basically time trouble in his games, he's carrying this quite well. So I don't know, is this a different scenario when he's in the game, long game, and then he adapts and he knows that he doesn't need to blitz all the moves, but he's still sometimes ending up in time trouble, like yesterday against Marger Peterson. It was, okay, not severe time trouble, but it was a bit for like 10 or 15 moves, and I think he handled it quite well.
Yes, but if your position's good, you generally can handle blitz well. It's only when it's unclear and chaotic that you struggle. But also it's true that it's not the same, and this especially Grishchuk would explain a lot. It's not the same being in time pressure in a normal game, in a classical game, and being in time pressure in blitz. In blitz, you expect to be in time pressure.
Yes,
in fact, you're in time pressure from the start. Whereas in classical, you switch to that role, but you also know it's going to be over at some point. Whereas in blitz, it's never over. So it's not the same skill. I mean, Grishchuk would say, I play blitz very well, and I still get into time pressure all the time. So it's not that I'm good in blitz doesn't mean I'm fast.
Yeah, my point is that actually he's keeping his rating like super high. So basically, and he's ending up in time trouble and actually surviving there, even in some problems. So
no, but right now Arjun and Gukesh, without judging their rapid and blitz skills, they are simply very good classical players. They are they're having great results in classical chess. I mean, if you saw the Olympiad, that was a spectacular performance. But and both of them haven't had spectacular rapid successes.
Not just that, in some Grand Chess tours, to see them at the last place, for example, Gukesh is not so uncommon.
That's correct. So how typical that is, I don't know. But Gukesh I think Gukesh and Arjun can adjust very quickly. But maybe they simply think of being classical players more these days.
Okay, let's combine it with camera from the playing hall. You know them quite well. Do you immediately see through some body language, are they worried or not? We can go full screen as well. So Gukesh is always fully concentrated. Behind him is Abdusattorov. Sometimes Abdusattorov is a little bit more nervous. Gukesh is always keeping his similar.
No, whenever I'm asked for some opinion of body language or something, I think of this famous joke.
Which one?
In the opinion of Grandmaster Manatsa Kanyan, white is a pawn up. In the expert opinion of Grandmaster Manatsa Kanyan, white is a pawn up. So I can say, in my expert opinion, he's thinking, but what does this mean?
Okay.
So, I mean, you can go on talking and making up stuff, but I don't know if we really read their mind. But it's a very typical Gukesh pose. It's a very typical pose, this thing, but I don't know what it means, and he does it so often. He does it in good positions, bad positions. I have no real opinion on this.
Cool. Okay, you are really long term in the circuit, so you know all those things and stuff. Sometimes Magnus is super emotional, but still he keeps making to break through this type of position. Okay, knight a5. Vasily was mentioning just something like this, for example, and to hold a bit.
Yes, I was just about to say, because after what if he played knight a5, bishop a2, then or bishop d3, then bishop c3 is slightly unpleasant. Of course, you can still play rook a7, bishop somewhere, bishop a8 or something, and wait. But waiting on b7 is very unpleasant. There are many situations where the rook on b1 and bishop on b7, something goes wrong, because it's very easy to overload defending that piece and playing. So my preference is to run away, bishop a8. So rook b8, bishop a8 is fine.
Got it.
The other way.
Yeah, to run away with this bishop, it was funny.
In fact, I think Vasya is right. Why play knight a5?
Yeah.
It's not clear that that's where it belongs. So play rook a7, bishop a8.
It's funny. I said, is maybe White worried? Because, come on, you're playing against 2400 player. You could have played maybe something not a little bit more flexible and not so defining. He said, no, young generation, they're not worried. They just play.
Yeah. I think also that maybe this is just reasonable for black. I don't know the evaluation.
Okay, sometimes engines do tend to overestimate some chances with the passer, but yeah.
No, I don't think they overestimate anything these days. They just calculate correctly. But it just means that it's some very long-term tactical thing that the pawn drops.
But very good choice from black. Well,
yeah.
Opening choice.
Sure.
Yeah. Now wait and see. It's not easy to find the concept.
No, actually, white. I mean, you suspect that in the end, some detail, some d5, e5 will come somewhere. But honestly, with that a passer is so strong that it compensates for a lot of things.
For example, Greenfield, some lines. For example, Greenfield with queen a5 and queen a2, and then just pushing the a pawn. I know that, for example, Kramnik was playing, and then I don't know, even Topalov and some players, they don't mind that opponent has that type of passer. How about you? Were you a bit annoyed when your opponent has chances to start pushing the passer in some lines? Well, I don't know, Greenfield or maybe Queen's Indian or something.
You're right. The Grunfeld is quite conceptual. In theory, do you understand the tension between? See, when you play the Slav, you're basically competing in the center. Both sides are competing in the center. Here, you're competing with opposite values. Is an outside passed pawn more important than a central pawn advantage, or a passed pawn in the center versus a passed pawn on the a file, and which is more important than what? I remember when I was maybe 24 or something, just in the candidates and so on, and I was playing the Grunfeld on quite a few occasions. Then I lost 2 games. I lost to Lothier and I lost to someone else as well. And then I thought, the Grunfeld is not my opening. Something in it doesn't suit me. And what I used to judge that was, I thought, the Grunfeld is not my opening because when I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I don't find the right move intuitively. In the Slav, I thought the opposite. In the Slav and semi-Slav, I thought, this is my opening because even when I have no clue what I'm doing, my moves are still good. And so I gave up the Grunfeld then and moved to the semi-Slav. And this
scoring some fantastic wins like against Aronian and so on.
Kramnik and so on.
Yeah.
But that's the point. Your ability in chess is not what you do in positions where we know the theory. The ability comes, and your stylistic preferences come when you don't know what you're supposed to do. And how do you find your way? How's your intuition? So, at least for me, long back I concluded that the Grunfeld wasn't really my scene. Having said that, I returned to the Grunfeld about 15 years ago, and I was playing it for a couple of years. And then once again, because computers had changed so many things, I thought, well, why not try? Maybe it's a different opening now, simply. And once again, I concluded it's not really my opening.
Twice.
Because again, the problem is when I don't know what I'm supposed to do or I'm not familiar, I'm making mistakes. Whereas in the Slav, my results were just better, even if even my opponent caught me off guard. I was losing fewer games, winning more games, and so on. So here again, it's one way to look at it is who is better. Another way to look at it is, especially for what is it, 11? Yeah, guy 11. How does he feel this position? Something with a pawn on a4, with a pawn on a3, and so on. I mean, you can also substitute it with notable. When white has C and D pawns and black has A and B pawns.
Exactly.
Do you feel the tension? Because white it's no longer the usual kind of struggle. Here, white is winning in the center, black is winning on the queen side. And which happens faster is important. Sometimes white will just break through with d5, e5 and some h4 and then it's mate because of these two extra pawns. But sometimes black comes faster. So these are positions you should only play if you tested it 20 times and you didn't lose 15. then you can play.
Sometimes you have this huge responsibility because you know if you don't deliver checkmate, the guy to the other wing is just start pushing. Okay, there was your very known game against Magnus in Chennai World Championship match. You started to throw something on his king, but he has queen side
yes,
card.
And
it's not easy.
He understood the defensive resources very easily and so on.
Yeah. Okay, so hard to say. Let's move on. Let's see how Prague is doing. I left around here, so he was playing this, not around here, but Queen H2 was played, which was a bit, around here. Was a bit strange, as you know that I'm playing this line with black, and you played it with white so many times. It's a bit strange that this Queen H2 was played, but maybe it's a decent move, I don't know.
But there's something about Queen H2 which reminds me of a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old playing chess. Oh God, please tell him to take on G5, and I play G5. And God, please tell him to don't think of this H7 pawn. Queen H2 almost seems hopeful. It's probably a sophisticated move, but you know what I mean, right? And we all have set a little trap, and then we're praying, saying, "Please let him not notice this." It reminds me of the
like checkmating on the other wing. And
Bishop G5, H G5. Maybe he won't realize my queen and rook are together in the H file or something. So.
Okay, Prague realized that?
Yes, that's true.
But okay, Bishop C1 is sometimes...
It's actually a sophisticated plan.
Yes,
by the way, I just reminded me of a childhood story. It doesn't know what I was implying I was doing, but...
sometimes this is a pleasant. I know that Kožul told me that sometimes... and then
Bishop B2 can be very... Because all black's usual Sicilian ideas don't work anymore. In fact, you know what I would do? If you played B3, I would just play rook C3, Bishop B2, Queen C7. I hope you take it, because it's the only way to spoil it.
Got it. Okay, so Prague was playing this way. Okay, D5 is, of course, typical breakthrough. Complicated position. Usually white is better here, but if managed to block, but D4 maybe it's an option, Messy play. I think you played like so many rapid blitz in this type of things, huh?
Yes. I'm just thinking, sometimes you may just want to play D3 and be rid of it, rid of that pawn. Because you have such good composition, you eliminate a lot of pieces. Anyway, he went Bishop D5, so take. G6, I guess? No, he didn't go
Queen
G6.
E2.
Because G6, he was afraid of Rook C5, probably.
Okay, tense. Really hard to say. Probably black, you know better, but black seems to be doing well.
I don't know. Still, G6 seems like a nice long-term plan. And what do you do?
I'll probably say A6 will be played, but...
That is risky, because I can take and I can play Rook DG1 or Rook HG1.
Okay, Bishop F8 will be played later, but
then,
it's
Queen
tough.
E4 is centralized. I can play F5 somewhere, so...
Listen, this type of positions I like to comment, not to play.
Come on, you're a rouser.
No, but anyway, come on.
You're a rouser sufferer yourself. You suffer these positions.
But it's tough. It's tough, really, Vishy.
To be honest, I prefer white.
Got it.
I think it's easier because it's the most basic plan. You can just play G6 and you're done. I don't know what black is supposed to do.
With Dragana today, we were just commentating how many players have crossed 2800, and we were not sure. We started with really low
about
number.
26 or 30 or something like that in total.
28. Okay, not live. We were just published.
No, whoever, always published will be
Published.
slightly higher than live.
Yes.
Though it's very unlikely that someone crosses live and never gets crossed.
They say Giri. I don't know. Is it correct?
No, Giri was actually on the list as
He was? Okay, so maybe it was not updated. Yeah, Giri, maybe it's true.
At least I remember that he was on some list. He was 2,800.
Yeah, but the point is now that Gukesh and Arjun, they are very close, right? Arjun is...
Yeah, but they're very smart. They're doing it in the end of the month. So the live list will be the official list as well. Arjun is winning easily today.
Yeah.
He's just 2 pounds up, so that's okay. So he's crawling closer and closer.
Closer and closer.
And the problem for him is he's basically betting. He's doing 10-1 bets, 9-1 bets every day. He can keep winning 1 point for 7 rounds, and then one thing goes wrong, he loses 9. That's basically the kind of odds he's giving. So, yeah, but he's lucky that he's already 96 or something. So he needs to go correctly like this 3 more times.
In former time, that was not the case. People were avoiding this type of game, right? But
yes, because even a draw kills you. A draw, you lose 5 games. 5 wins are compensated by 1 draw. So you don't even have to lose the game.
I commented that now when you have Gukesh scoring really crazy stuff at first board at Olympiad, then you have Arjun just winning all the events, Prague playing well. Suddenly players like Vidit and even Nihal, they don't look so brilliant, but they are really good players. So I'm just...
Anyway, party line is that officially Arjun and Gukesh don't care about their ratings. They say this, so we should point out that they said it. Whether we believe it or not,
okay, got it.
Officially they say they don't care about their ratings, they just love chess. And but as a fan, people are curious about these 2,800.
Yes, of course.
But
Alireza, for example, when he played European teams and scoring and he was the youngest who I think crossed 2,800. The really level of play was incredibly high. Like now, Gukesh is playing to be able to score heavily on the first board. It's really crazy. Vidit is suffering today, or what's going on here? These are tough games. 25-50. You are black. You want to win, maybe.
I guess White is going to play Rook C1 or White?
Yeah, Rook C1 probably.
White will play 93 also.
Okay.
White can play E4.
E4 I'm thinking, but then you jump in, right?
Yeah, but if you jump in, I just play knight E3 and I play D5 next, and how do you get away?
It doesn't look great.
It's actually quite a horrible position if you don't, if D5 is happening and then E5 is happening, it's just resigns, no? I think you will have to trade queens. But
Vidit could be a good swindler, huh? What do you think? In some bad positions.
Well, clearly he's provoking a struggle against someone he thinks he can beat. But come on, E4.
Yeah, E4 is the move. I think you should jump to C3. Well, probably C3. I don't know.
Or knight B6 is possible. But even knight takes B6. Or I can play knight E3. Queen C2.
I think knight E3 looks more.
Yeah, but then you can take and maybe play king d7 and no, but anyway d5 or something. But instead of e4, what else is possible? 1 second. Is knight e3 possible?
Yeah, we can just check for a second. E4 just kills. Yeah, knight b6.
It seems huge.
Yeah, you said you take. It's correct. And knight c3.
Exactly, because you cannot trade everything because I go rook c7 in the end.
Knight c3. Knight a5 or knight e3, it's just dead lost.
Yeah.
So what has happened? What went wrong? It was Catalan. You played it with white only rarely, right? Catalan.
I played it in 1 match against Topalov, and then after a few months I thought, let me play it again, and then I realized that I'd forgotten all the lines, and I thought, okay, maybe. If I'm bad in the Grunfeld, I should be bad in the Catalan.
Yes.
So
okay.
even
got your point.
But
so you realized that you were bad in Grunfeld, and then you were just scanning all the similar openings. Just
no, I don't know why. After the matches, there's a period when I keep playing my match preparation, but then I give up and I switch back to my old repertoire because you're playing in tournaments, and then you're playing many more people, and you don't need such highly researched openings in only few areas. So.
Okay, Vichy, some next plans?
I will be going to many tournaments. I will be visiting Calcutta. I will be visiting Singapore.
World
And
Championship
I will,
match,
championship
yeah.
match, and then I will be going to New York for the Rapid and Blitz.
Rapid and Blitz, playing or?
No.
No.
I'm not playing. I'll just be.
Okay, and I know that, as I said, you will be careful in prediction, but somehow everyone is saying that Gukesh became a favorite in the meantime because of Ding's shape. But what do you think?
Okay, I'll put it this way. It's like shares. I can tell you that Gukesh is a share that has performed very, very well this year. But we know, as they say, past performance thing. And Gukesh is smart enough to know that you World Championships, you don't just go to collect, you win it.
Yeah.
So he knows that he still has to work, and that's it. But it would be foolish to say that on their performances this year that Gukesh is not the huge favorite. But Ding has a chance. Let's state this very clearly. Ding has a chance to raise his game. Maybe finally the World Championship will be the motivation that other events were not. He will think and somehow everything else is blocked out. You're only playing a match with one guy, so it's easier to focus.
How many matches you played in total?
Okay, if you take all the candidates matches, then there were Drev, Karpov, then in the next cycle Yusupov, Kamsky. In this cycle it was Romaneshin, Adams, Kamsky. It's already 7. Then I played Kasparov 8. Then I played Karpov was 6 games.
Yes, 6 games.
You can count it like a candidates match. Then of course in knockouts I played a lot of 2-game matches, but these longer matches. And then Kramnik, Topolov, Gelfand, Carlsen. So 5 more. So that's quite a lot.
Yes.
Though there was this huge gap because for essentially 15 years I didn't play any matches, and then I started to play them a lot again. So there was this 2 federation stuff and so on. So a long time the matches weren't happening.
Magnus was saying that it was really exhausting to prepare for those matches. How about you? Were you suffering a lot?
You can see that. I mean, you can see in my play that initially the matches were very good for me as a motivation and everything. When I was young, it was fantastic motivation. But also chess was not so computerized then. So when I trained for a match in the 90s, you felt you could live off that work for 1 year. You could use the same ideas for 1 year in tournaments. Unfortunately, with computers, you don't have that luxury because anybody who switches on the position will get the same ideas more or less. So, but clearly by 2010, only focusing on those matches affected my chess a lot. And then for 2 years, I was 1.5 years, I was in a big crisis.
And when you play,
only in 2014 I started to play good chess again. So I understand what he's saying, but at the same time, I was 37 when I was playing the second wave of matches, 37 to 43, and these guys are all teenagers now, so it doesn't have to affect me.
Got it. And let's say, okay, it's hard to imagine how big pressure. You were playing in Chennai, like a local star, an Indian star. This pressure is really huge. How is possible to somehow isolate of it?
It's very hard because even when you think you're isolating it, you think you're not thinking about it. You don't realize it, but you're thinking inside. And it's that sort of thing that you can pretend you're not affected, but somehow you're affected anyway because deep down you feel what are people thinking. You can tell people I don't care, but inside it's not the same.
It was funny. It was funny when we were driving, you and me in Chennai, and then I asked you, and you mentioned some hotels, and then I asked you about, I don't know, was it Crown Plaza? Where you played this match against?
Yeah, I played in the Hyatt.
Okay, Hyatt, and then I asked you, how about Hyatt? Do you go there from time to time? You said we don't go there.
Yes, I went there once or twice, and I tried to shrug it off, but even looking at the venue, you immediately, you go back to what after all was a very unpleasant chess scenario. Well, Vasya said it best. Somebody once asked him, what's your favorite city? And he said, my favorite city is where I play well. And of course, he's right. It's, they expected some answer like Paris, but he said, He said, anywhere I do well is like Paris. So, and I understand his point that somehow for us, the way people think, well, what was I doing when I was in this place? We are thinking, which
Yes,
move did I make?
exactly, exactly. Okay, last question, which I don't want to bother you too much. So, Indian gold, men and women. Okay, how big was that later in India and in India media and everywhere?
It got a lot of attention. I mean, definitely it's something that a lot of people are aware of. The Prime Minister announced it in a speech he was making in New York. He had gone to New York, he was talking to the Indian community there, and in the middle of his speech, he got literally it happened simultaneously. He was already started his speech. His office got a notice thing, so they quickly sent a paper up to him. And he says, by the way, today I can share with you this news that our youngsters have just won the chess Olympiad for both men and women together. And then, so, it definitely made a huge impact. They were received everywhere and so on.
Does Modi, Prime Minister, he plays chess or do you think? Does he know?
I know. I'm pretty certain he has no time to play chess, but he may follow it at some level.
Got it.
Because even when he was chief minister of a state rather than prime minister of the country, he did quite a lot of important events and so on. So. Okay,
I love the way how you're conducting interviews, Vishy. It was really great, and I'm so happy that you're with us. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we go for a short break, and then we will move on with commentary.